if you look at overseas in the US, they have these head offices that are very much distributed across a whole heap of cities, and we sort of had that real concentration of Sydney and Melbourne as seen as the where you want to put your head office in Australia versus Brisbane, and there has been those few organisations, and obviously the government here is competing very hard and providing incentives to set that up and see it as an alternative location. It's funny, like when you sometimes look back on your career, whilst I'm sort of getting a little bit longer in the career, I'm probably still mid-career, and I talk about leadership with some of the teams at Gallagher Bassett where I work, and they sort of say, where did you first start? And what was your first job? And I said, my first job was sound and vision at Kmart, back when you could buy VHS cassettes and CDs, and sort of how quickly that first job of where I started in school is sort of non-existent anymore, right? All that concept of buying a CD or a video. Exactly. Right. Blockbuster and all of those things. So you sort of started there. But actually originally I was going down the path of engineering and moving down sort of a mechanical engineering path, and started with a company back then called Asenco, which at the time was actually only a small Brisbane and a Perth base, and now they're a global multinational. So they were quite a small business back when you started working with them in an engineering role. The head of IT left the business, and back then they kind of went, you know a little bit about IT, can you help us out? They kind of fell back into IT from that aspect, right, and started doing that role. And then progressed from there to an outsourced provider that specialised in legal and accounting, sort of those practices, who were sort of small businesses, right? They were sub 100, some 150, who didn't have the scale to hire their own people. So they outsourced effectively everything to us. And that was also where my first sort of foray into leadership was in that organisation, sort of as that business grew. And very much was that mindset of not a strong people leader, but I was sort of the strong technical person that picked up the leadership role based on technical knowledge, not people knowledge.